The idea here is you have this very deep sense of national destiny, this idea that China was humiliated at the hands of the world. It's the West, it's the Japanese, it's all sorts of pre-modern empires, and that the Communist Party, in a sense, is the savior from this period that's going to return China to its former glory by the centennial of the founding of the People's Republic of China, which will be the year 2049. And at that point, they become the de facto largest economy in the world, the sort of grand superpower, well ahead of what any other nation could assemble. And the idea here at this point is, that they're really in this contest now that's just, in a sense, heating up. I mean, the Communist Party used to talk about something called the period of strategic opportunity, which was basically the last 20 years when the world would engage with China economically, when I think there would be less question over the nature of China's rise. And the question now is, what does it look like for them to start, pushing back now that we're catching on?
Well, and to also, what Xi has done, what his predecessor didn't do, he's made these plans public, right? I mean, he's gone out there with Made in China 2025, Made in China 2035, Made in China 2045. In the media all week this week, there, I told you so. 15 years, the long march, the new long march. In 15 years, we will be the preeminent country in the world. They are now making this. They feel confident enough to make this public. So what kind of pushback should they get? Listen, we're all for competition, but this is not happening without massive theft and really breaking all the rules, trade rules that they were allowed to come into the trade community under in the first place.
That's exactly right. And I think the issue you've got now is that when you have China escalating and talking about what they might be able to do with rare earths or creating their own set of blacklists after a response to Huawei, you're talking about them essentially defending their path to supremacy through malpractices. I mean, through technology theft, through massive industrial espionage. So the escalation that's happening here, I think, is driven by this deep sense of where they're going and that they're going to get there. And they're preparing their public for that, not only through statements like the Long March, which I think is important, but also across Chinese social media. You're seeing more belligerent, videos coming out and things like that. And this is a rhetoric that's actually been around since, in many ways for many years, but also since the turning point of Tiananmen Square, the massacre. The 30th anniversary is next Tuesday on June 4th. And after that point, when the Communist Party was challenged by those who wanted democracy in China, were out in the square sort of, protesting for that. Right, they changed their national curriculum to say that our enemies are in the West, it's Japan, and they put this through the national curriculum. It's called the Patriotic Education Program.
Every country that gave them money to beat back the Boxer Revolution, I can envision there's a board somewhere, and they've crossed every country off, and one country remains, and that's the United States, that they have to leapfrog over. We got less than a minute, but I do want to ask, though, we are still a large enough customers of theirs, I think, to at least be able to slow this down. I mean, we are still, for the de facto, funding all of their grand ambitions.
In a sense, yes, but China also has a global strategy. We have to remember that they've put themselves into globalization in such a way where they can look for markets around the world, and that gives them certain advantages that we're going to see.
Jonathan, thank you very much. The book is China's Vision of Victory. Really appreciate it.